Hello, my name is Miss James, and I'm here to teach you today about solving one-step equations. So we're going to go with a couple of problems just to see how this works. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to look at our vocabulary when we are solving equations or doing any kind of thing that has to do with solving problems or mathematical situations. We really should know our vocabulary. So with solving equations, the one thing that we need, a few words that we need to look at is variable. And a variable is a letter that represents a number, a letter or a symbol that represents a number. So all letters are not variables. Only those letters that represent numbers in a math problem are variables. The next word is coefficient. Coefficient is the number that's being multiplied to a variable. And you'll see some of these in the one-step equations that we go through. As we get to them, I'll make sure that I point them out to you. The next word is inverse, and that just means the opposite. So when we talk about if we're saying add the inverse of the constant, add the inverse of the coefficient, we mean the opposite. So another one, it just reminded me, is constant. Constant. What is a constant? A constant is a number that stands alone. A number that stands alone. So it does not have any variables attached to it. And a constant, if you think of it, constant means the same all the time. So that number is the same all the time. And one other word that I want to give you is solution. So solution is the number or numbers that replace the variables. The number or numbers that replace the variable. So I'm going to do a few examples of adding one-step equations, subtracting one-step equations, and we might get into multiplying and dividing one-step equations. All right, so the first thing I like to do is, so we have a problem. So 4 plus a equals 7. This is really simple. So I like to start off with something very simple, and you use the same exact methods to solve problems that are really hard. So for this one right here, we know 4 plus a equals 7. Without even thinking about it a whole lot, we know that 3 goes in the place of a. So 4 plus 3 equals 7. So a would equal 3. So we know that. We know that without even thinking about it, because we can use, with thinking about it, we can use mental math to figure it out. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the step. I'm going to give you the method so that you can use this method all the time to do the problem. So I'm going to make a little squiggly line here. And so basically you're going to have our problems on this side, on the left side. We're going to have our steps on the right side. So the first step to solving an addition equation is we're going to add the inverse of the constant that's on the same side of the equation as the variable. Now that sounds like it's a lot, and it is a lot to say, but we're not going to write all of that out. We're definitely not going to write all of that out. So, but our first step is add the inverse of the constant. And what constant are we talking about? Because in this situation, we have two constants in this problem. We have the 4 as a constant, because remember, a constant is the number that stands alone. And I made a mistake here. A number that stands alone. So we have a 4 and we have a 7. So, but which constant are we talking about? Our goal to solve equations is to get a variable on one side of our equation and a number on the other side. So that's something else that we can put here. Our goal is always to have a variable to equal a number. Variable equals the constant and variable equals the number. That's always our goal. So our goal here in this situation, our variable is A. And what we need to have is A on one side of the equation and a number on the other side. So so we have add the inverse of the constant. Which constant are we talking about? Are we talking about the 4 or are we talking about the 7? Well, in this case, we're talking about the 4 because we want to get A by itself. We want to isolate A because our goal is variable equals a number. Okay? So, in order to get rid of this A, we got to add the inverse of A. And what is the inverse of the constant 4? The inverse of the constant 4 is negative 4. So, we're going to add negative 4 to both sides. Now this looks like we're subtracting, and basically that is what we're doing. But I want you to say here, 4 plus negative 4, 7 plus negative 4. All right? So we're going to add the inverse of the constant 4. The inverse of 4 is negative 4. So we have 4 plus negative 4. That goes to 0. Okay? Then we're going to bring this A down because we want to continue to line up our equal signs. And we have 7 plus negative 4 or 7 minus 4. It's the same thing. So what is 7 minus 4? 7 minus 4 in your mind is 3. You're never gonna forget what you already know. So 7 plus negative 4 is 3. Have we reached our goal? Do we have a variable on one side? Yes, we do. Do we have a number on the other side? Yes, we do. So our solution is 3. The solution is the number that replaces the variable. A equals 3. So that's that. Let's try another one real quick. So we have, let's look at one that's like negative 3. Negative 3 plus C equals 14. We're going to use our same step. We only have, see, it says it's a one-step equation. We only need to do one step. That one step is add the inverse of the constant. Add the inverse of the constant. In this case, our constant is what? Our constant, add the inverse of the constant. Our constant this time is negative 3. So what's the inverse of negative 3? The inverse of negative 3 is positive 3. So we're going to add 3 to this side and 3 to that side. Because we have to remember that whatever we do on one side of the equal sign, we must do on the other side of the equal sign to keep things balanced. It's just like a scale. Whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side. So you have negative 3 plus 3, that's a 0 pair. Bring down the C, bring down the equal sign. 14 plus 3 is 17. 14 plus 3 is 17. So our answer is C equals 17. Our solution is 17. And that's how you do adding one-step equations. So I'm going to pause right quick so that we could set up, so I can erase the board and set up for subtracting one-step equations. Let me pause real quick.